Three, two, one. Hello, cuties. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girl Unscripted. It's your girl Rucha. I'm the host of this podcast, and today's guest is Anam Lakhani, one of the co-founders of Alinea. Anam, welcome to Brown Girl Unscripted.
Thank you so much for having me.
How has the day in the life of a founder of a fintech company been?
It's been really great. I'm super amped. We're working on some really exciting product stuff, and so yeah, that's been great.
Yeah, okay, I love to hear that. And for you guys who don't know much about Alinea, Alinea is essentially an AI-powered financial consumer app, which for anyone who's looking to get into investing, wanting to build that generational wealth, or just financial independence, or a rainy day fund, that is the app to go for. And it makes learning so much easier for you compared to any other investing platform. But Anam herself can get into it as well. So Anam, why don't you kick it off? And tell us a bit about what inspired you to build in this space and why Linea.
Definitely. Yeah, so I've grown up in New York on Long Island my whole life, went to school at Barnard College and decided to intern on Wall Street. And during my internship, I saw that all the boys or the my age, male interns, were investing their money. And I was a bit perplexed. I asked one of them, well, like, how long have you been doing this for? And one of them had set up an account in the eighth grade somehow, I'm assuming under a parent's name or something. And he was like, I'd made so much money that I have enough to pay off my college tuition. And that was really this light bulb moment for me where I was like, wow, I have no idea how to do this thing, which was investing. Started talking to my friends about it, saw that they were equally as perplexed and lost. And I just became fascinated with how this is not taught in schools, how investing is so inaccessible unless you have someone really sit down and explain it to you. And I tried all the apps and just still felt like something was missing from the picture. And so that really sparked the idea of Alinea. And then when I went back to college, fall semester of my senior year, I was in an entrepreneurship class with my co-founder, Eve Halimi, and we ended up being class partners. And lucky for me, she was also fascinated with this problem, and we've been working on it since.
I love that. And it's really such a relatable thing you mentioned about talking to peers, especially in finance, that maybe come from like different backgrounds that encourage this specifically for men. So I want to touch more on that in that origin story. Like when you talk to your girlfriends and you talked about, okay, do you invest? Do you know about this, etc. What were the common things that you heard about why they weren't doing it, or what were the pain points you noticed?
It's pretty common. And actually, I've seen this expand beyond just like a young female demographic. It's across all age groups. It's across all, parts of society and walks of life. Unless you really are a finance bro or you grow up in a family where this was talked about, there's so many different types of people who this problem applies to. And so what I would hear constantly is, I have no idea how to start. I have no idea how much to invest, no idea what to choose. I'm afraid of doing this. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed and I'm afraid. And so it was pretty much the same remarks over and over again. And I just saw this common thread and was like, there has to be a better solution for it.
Yeah, no, that sounds so real. And I get what you mean. It makes sense why it's across so many different age groups. What would you say is the most prominent age group that relates to this, or it's kind of varied?
I think now that we've been doing this for a long time, it's very varied, but I think I want to say it's right at the cusp of adulthood when these questions really start to arise. So I think it's right when you get your first job, your first paycheck, maybe even in your mid 20s, you really start thinking about, how can I make my money work harder for me? So I would say at the rise of adulthood or at the rise of, whenever a major event in your life is coming up.
Yeah. For you, what was that initial point where you started investing? I know you said you had those conversations with peers and with the eighth grade example, etc. But like for you, what was going on in your brain when you were starting your investing journey?
Yeah, I mean, so I had my first paycheck for my internship, and I kind of, was like, well, what do I do with it now that I bought the purchase I wanted or whatever?
Hmm.
And tried all the apps. Nothing really spoke to me. I actually ended up investing in crypto, which at the time was, I guess, a good investment. It was back in like 2018.
Yeah.
And so that was my first investment. And it's interesting because that is a big touch point for a lot of first time investors these days. But it took me a bit of time to kind of set up a diversified portfolio and build a habit. And so one thing we really encourage on the app is setting up the habit for yourself and making sure that you're investing on a regular cadence, whether it be monthly or weekly, but it's a regular part of your financial wellness routine.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What do you do typically? Do you do monthly? Do you do weekly? What do you do?
I do monthly. There are times where I just go in and throw in a bit more, but yeah, I definitely have a monthly recurring deposit on the Alinea app. I do
Ooh,
automated portfolio, not
I
financial advice, but
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah. No, I feel like the monthly one is such a good option. And then going back to what you mentioned about investing in crypto specifically, I actually had such a similar experience with that as well. I downloaded Coinbase as one of my first investments when I started investing, so definitely relate to that a lot. And then obviously now we see how things have changed so much. And then going on to one of the next things that was on my mind, I know as I was kind of thinking about our podcast, etc., is when you think about Alinea and the sort of impact that it's been having on women who are at that point of, okay, just got that job, just, I don't know, started like a profitable company, etc., and they don't know what to do with the money. What would you say the impact you want to have, like beyond, like, yes, financial independence and women having more control over their money, but like what was like that main impact you wanted to have when you started Alinea?
yeah, I mean, a couple of things, right? I think the way we think about like investing in money, it's really like the goal is to have time, right? So we work to have money, but money can also get you time. And time is really like freedom, right? So being able to do what you want at the end of the day, being to, work the job that you want and not have to worry about what exactly that role is, like giving yourself financial freedom to really have control over your time. So I think ultimately that is the end goal is I call us like almost like the dreaming company. It's like to help you achieve your dreams, as cheesy as it sounds. I think in the short term, what brings me a lot of gratification is when I talk to a user and they were like, before this app, I really had no idea how to do this. And now I get it and I'm investing more and more and I feel like I know what I'm doing. So that is both the macro and the micro of the impact.
Yeah. What would you say for someone who's looking to start off investing, super scared, doesn't know what to do about it, and is scared that their money is maybe you won't get an ROI out of it? What is sort of your advice, especially when it comes to using Alinea for that?
Definitely get started. Just get started and build the habit. I think when you start to see your money compound or like that deposit amount start to grow, you start to see returns coming in after you've been investing month over month or week over week. That's what's motivating. And we have a lot of lessons on the app, and we found that users give a lot of positive feedback around that, and they feel like that helps them get into the mindset and feel more confident about what they're doing. So definitely just get started.
Yeah. And then what about when it comes to what type of stocks to invest in or like what type of investments to make? Because I feel like there's so much advice on the internet, or I would say mainly on the internet, and that's where nowadays people are getting advice on like what to do, what not to do. At Alinea, how do you guys kind of go about making sure that any of the recommendations that you do make or how people go about it is accurate? And for you as a founder, like what would you say what to look at and even how your AI works when it comes to recommending these sort of things? Because I think that's a big question that a lot of people have.
Yeah, the portfolios are constructed by like our team of investment experts. So it's really people who have had like decades of experience in this space and they're well constructed portfolios. And for the exact reason you mentioned, Rucha, it's people have a really hard time picking out stocks and it's a difficult decision to make. And so as soon as you're onboarded onto the app, we have an automated portfolio, which is pre-constructed for you and personalized based on your risk tolerance, your age, your time horizon. And so that's how we make it really easy. Most of their users have a recurring deposit in that. And so that is managed by experts, but really the insights and the information around it is powered by AI, which we think is a great blend. And so that's how we recommend going about it, whether it's your first time, whether you're a returning investor and want to try something different. Yeah.
Okay, and since you're essentially the queen of FinTech, you're building this amazing company, amazing app for women's financial independence and just growing that time freedom as well. How would you say your personal investment journey and just like your sort of mindset towards finances has grown? Has you've grown your company in this space? Because I can imagine that's probably grown a lot. So I'd love to hear about your personal journey with that.
My personal journey was, as a startup founder, I think you're struggling in the beginning, so obviously didn't have much income to invest. But I think as time went on, I've really set up the habit for myself and tried to invest as much of my savings as possible into my automated portfolio. And I think as I am getting older and time is going on, I want to continue to invest more and more in that. And really excited about a lot of AI company. This is not financial advice, but AI companies and AI stocks. And there's so much growth in the tech space. So always looking into that. There's some really cool playlists created on the app. And so I'm always looking at those and copying those and investing in those.
Yeah, no, that's sick. And then would you say like your confidence when it comes to investing and navigating what to invest in, etc., has also grown? And I guess from that, is there any sort of advice you have for someone who wants to increase the level of confidence in investing?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like cooking. Like you can read a lot of books about cooking, but until you like sit and you do the thing, you don't really get the hang of it. And I think investing is you learn more from doing than by even reading or anything of that sort. So just investing in the automated portfolio and having a recurring deposit just keeps you so engaged. You want to read up on the market. You want to see what's happening the more you have invested in the market. So definitely having a recurring investment, I say like a broken record and just getting started as early as you can.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. What are the things that you have learned about investing and just about kind of navigating the space as you've continued to invest and even grown your finances?
I think it's a very emotional thing and there's a lot of noise. And so the hardest part about it is being consistent and being calm. And I think with many things in life, just being consistent and calm will get you pretty far. And so just keeping your heads down, having that consistency and also like not getting caught up whether the market's really high or the market's really low and just continuing to build that practice.
You know Simran Kaur, the founder of Girls That Invest?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, a lot of what you've been saying actually reminds me so much of her book, Girls That Invest. So I think it's so on par because you guys are both in that space. So it just it just reminded me. Yeah, and like going off of that, are there people that you look up to in the space, or when you first started, you're like, oh, I kind of want to use people as inspiration, or just any sort of finance, women in finance, or just women in fintech that you really admire?
I'm gonna say something really, really basic and say like Warren Buffett. I think he's like one of the best investors of the century, and just like he has a very consistent practice, investing in what he knows in, being calm. And so, yeah, that is a sort of like value-driven philosophy.
Okay, I love that. And has that always been someone that you've looked up to, or more so started with Alinea?
I think it started around college for sure. Yeah.
Okay, got you, got you. Okay. And then here on Brown Girl Unscripted, one thing I love asking my guests, especially you, is what is one thing, if you go back to your younger self, high school time, and even unrelated to you being a founder, but just in general, as a woman, as a girl, what is something that you could go back and tell your younger self?
Eat less sugar.
That's so funny. Wait, why that specifically? That I've never gotten that as an answer on this
No,
podcast
no, I'm
yet.
joking. I'm joking. I have a really bad sweet tooth.
Me
If I could go
too.
back, if I could go back to my younger self and say something, I'd say just keep going.
Yeah, so just keep on persisting.
Yeah, just keep going.
And then what would you say to someone that is in that age group today? What would be the advice that you give from everything you've learned so far as an entrepreneur, and as someone who's working in your industry and just as a woman?
I would say the same thing. Just keep going. I think so much time is spent overthinking and overanalyzing, especially when we have access to so much information and social media. So just keep going and just not to bring in the Nike slogan, but just do it and just keep going.
I love that. That's a great no bullshit way of going about it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on to Brown Girl Unscripted. I will definitely make sure I include your socials and Alinea's download link in the description below. You guys definitely check it out, especially if you're new to your investing journey or just want to continue it and pivot off to something else because it takes the thinking out of your investment strategy. So definitely go ahead and do that. Go check out Anam's journey. She's been on Forbes, so we love that. And as always, make sure you subscribe to Brown Girl Unscripted. Let me know how you like this episode. Let me know anything you want to see more of. And yeah, thank you for coming on, Anam. I really appreciated your time and see y'all next week.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.